can get openings and closings. And they picked Agnifilo. I told them at the get-go, do not do that after his disastrous so-called interview with Harvey 11 about the baby oil. It was cringy, right? Way cringe.
I think that's turning straight.
Fit to do closings. He may be a little mastermind, but no, NO that has
You may almost walk right out of it. Yeah.
They have Tina Garrigan,
Yes.
daughter of Mark Garrigan's great lawyer. But no,
You sure that?
that is Denny's decision to agree or disagree for any way. It was anyone's decision, but Sean Combs'
No way. 100% his decision, and not only will he be deciding which lawyer to pick, he'll want to.
We're gonna start this over. Subscribe to my channel. Like I said, I was kind of sexy. I'm a woman. That was like, I subscribe to your channel, sir. I'm like, what the fuck? I let it pass.
You should have said thank you, ma'am.
No, it's okay because you know everybody get my voice kind of mixed up, so I wouldn't take that personal, boo. You feel me? Yeah, I'm a real one. That's not right to do that.
breaking news tonight.
We're doing P. Diddy.
A verdict watch here at Crime Story.
They let P. Diddy out.
It's the Diddy verdict
He's not guilty of everything.
Now, the defense has claimed to the jury with a straight
Watch that she
face
move her
that
face.
those violent attacks,
Hold to the
some
meter.
caught on video, are all just homemade. Okay?
Chelsea, I want them to see me, right? Could you kind of turn straight?
I
almost walked up there, honey.
For sale. Vegas bet
Yeah,
through
thanks, babe.
the roof. This is believing with us. Greeting his lawyers with a yoga studio at Namaste, my rear end. This is Tom kicking Namaste his way all the way to the MDC. He wasn't on Namaste in the middle of all these free calls. He can chill out behind bars for the rest of his life for all I care.
Right.
After bombshell closing statements, the judge charged the jury throughout the morning, and we are in a verdict watch here at Crime Stories. As on comes verdict to be handed down by a jury of 12. Joining us now outside the Monahan Federal Courthouse, Tisa Tells, host of Tisa Tells on YouTube. Tisa, thank you for being with us. What happened in court today?
In court, Mark Agnifilo came in like he had the worst news delivered. He was walking around thoroughbred, going in and out. Nobody knows what happened. However, the jury got the instructions. And something's telling me that his strawberry lemonade defense might be falling apart before it even had a chance to take hold.
Okay, for those that don't know about the strawberry lemonade defense, among so many other defenses, such as, it was just lemonade form. Really? Okay, is that a really Cassie down video? That's it. Strawberry lemonade. Explain. This really took a cake.
She's no ghetto lady.
Strawberry lemonade is something
She
I
get a
hope
lot of-
I've never heard of. I will never be able to look at
I ain't got no red chair again.
Mark Agnifilo started
What?
off by saying, you know, it's like
That's
a
you want.
partner. Sometimes he like,
I'm sorry, no,
because you want to please them. Again, the jury and the gallery was looking like, sir, what are you talking about? He looked like he was like, okay, too far. It's like, and then he immediately switched to, it's like drinking strawberry lemonade. Your partner might love it. You don't like it. But over time, you
Trying to say that Cassie liked it.
You want to please your partner.
Exactly. That's why you'll do
Mark
it. You don't know you
Agnifilo
like
was
it.
doing a don't believe your lying eyes and ears. Just focus in on me. His wife was in court, and she said that this was, she's seen him his whole career, and this was the best closing she's ever seen him perform. And I gotta say, if that was the best, I would hate to see the worst.
You know, Tisa Tells, throughout the defense closing statement, we heard Agnifilo use one old, tired phrase after the next, such as,
What's his name?
she wanted it,
David.
she got paid,
Davis.
as
We
if
don't want
that's
it
the
to be
defense, to the beatings, making a lot of comments about how much money Cassie Ventura had, how much money, he was referring to Jane still, living in the home that Diddy had paid for. On and on with so many over phrases. I'm very curious at reflecting on really disdainful theories about victims. I'm very curious how the jury was responding to that.
The funny thing is, I thought it was my imagination, but I talked to a few people also that were sitting in court. He lost the jury. He went so far as to say, you want to talk about old school theories? He said, and then he pulled out the oldest trick in the book. Can't speak. And he said it just like that. The jury's eyes kind of look like, what is going on? He tried to imply Cassie was a minx that seduced all these men. She was gangster. She could take 2 or 3 men at a time. Cassie was a woman that liked sex.
That's wild. That's really wild to say that about her.
I'll be honest with you. He came in really harming the jury, making jokes, but once he started going into that old school misogyny, the jury was turned off. And the thing is, he started to seem like to get a little nervous. It's almost like he realized that he had lost the jury. It was really startling to see.
Okay, let me understand what you just said, Tisa Tells. Everyone, Tisa Tells from Tisa Tells on YouTube, joining us outside the courthouse, and what a day it has been in the courtroom. We'll get into jury instructions in just a moment. But did you say that Agnifilo, the lead defense attorney, stated that Cassie was gangster and that she was fine to take 2 to 3 men at once?
Ain't been there.
What he actually said was,
I want her to read to me tonight.
but Nancy, you hit it on the head. That inference, that little slide and thought he was trying to plant in the jury's head 2 to 3. Let's not forget when she was getting the crown on her. It was 2 or 3 people. It was disgusting to see what he was doing. And that inference that you picked up on was not lost on the jury. He lost them with that old school misogyny. It was too much. It was too much.
Okay, wait a minute. Did he actually say the word gangster? Did he say that?
Yes, he
Gangster.
said Cassie was tripping, and this
He
is
said
what
Cassie was
happened.
gangster.
You're juggling.
That's
2 or
fucked up.
3
I'm
at
so
a time.
sorry, Cassie.
Was gangster. She didn't care. I mean, I guess I don't want to sound judgy. There's nothing wrong with this. This is a woman that liked sex. She liked it. She was in control. She knew what she wanted. Then it was back to back to back grossness. And again, I can understand if the prosecution had not done such a great job with their
Yeah, she on our side now.
maybe he could have get by, but it was night and day, and it really made the jury, in my mind, say, whose side are you on, and where are you going to draw the line at where you see victims? It was very startling.
So let me understand this. The white bread boy from law school called victims gangster?
With apartments.com capturing the hearts of hundreds of millions of renters every
Shit, them jury's scared.
success, but you're never gonna
They
get
got
it.
all them
Will they,
motherfuckers
Craig?
scared.
No, sir. Apartments.com. Ooh, a place to find a place.
Look at him. He doesn't have time to pack up his apartment and move, does he? Yesterday.
Is that his fear back?
Yes, and again, it sounded just as cheesy and corny and random like a load of bricks, but he still did it. And it made me think, was Diddy involved in that closing argument? Was he giving some notes about no, call her straight gangster? Again, maybe right message, wrong messenger. That was a very cringe moment, you know? As soon as it came out of Mark's
see how I
mouth,
was gonna
you could tell
copy,
he just wanted to
T.
let that go away and just move on to the next point.
Okay, joining me, Rob Shooter. He is the host of Naughty But Nice podcast, and you can find him at Rob Shooter, and that's SHUTER, not Bang Bang Shooter. RobShooter.substack.com.
Not
Former
Bang Bang
publicist
Shooter.
for Sean Combs. Okay, I'm just trying to get that mental picture of Agnifilo,
Say that they
the
call
white bread boy from law school, fixing this now to call the victims gangster, and they could take it. That Cassie could juggle 2 to 3 men at a time. You're the PR guru. I bet that fell flat.
worse than that, Nancy. It's absolutely tone deaf. I'm shocked that Diddy's paying good money for this legal team. And Diddy is a perfectionist. At least when I worked with him, he certainly likes to win and have things his own way. I can't believe that this is the argument that they're using, that he's allowing them to use, that he's not objecting to it. He has made a living for 20 years really understanding what the audience wants. And I know he's looking at that jury like an audience.
Yeah, like an audience. He'll knock their ass down. You don't say not guilty. It ain't funny, but you know, they the one wanted the fame, so that's what they got.
You can tell
They got some
this just is not working. I'm so surprised that they're doing this, and I'm even more surprised that Diddy hasn't at least tried to correct this shit. It's a bad.
The cold part about it, the ones that got caught up with him, they're not releasing him though. They gonna do time though. That's
bad luck.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Shooter. Once you commit to the lawyer that's going to deliver the closings, you're stuck. You can have a fleet of 5, 7, 8 lawyers like the defense has, but only one lawyer is can be tasked with delivering closing statements. If you'll think back to the Alex Murdaugh double murder trial, where he was charged and convicted of murdering his wife Maggie and son Paul, they wanted to split that up so the good old boy could start Harpootlian the closings and then bring on a younger and more spry lawyer to hit the facts. No, that was not allowed. There's a reason only one lawyer can give openings and closings, and they picked Agnifilo. I told him at the get-go, do not do that. After his disastrous softball interview with Harvey Levin about the baby oil, it was cringy, right? Way cringe. He was not fit to do closings. He may be a legal mastermind, but no, N.O. They had Steele,
Good morning.
Excellent lawyer, just got a young thug off. They have Tina Garrigo's daughter of Martin Garrigo's, great lawyer, but no, they picked him. That was Diddy's decision. Do you agree or disagree from any way? It was anyone's decision but Sean Combs's.
No way. 100% his decision, and not only will he be deciding which lawyer to pick, he'll want to know the outline of the closing statements that
okay, this is the best thing, y'all.
Control freak. Let me give you an example, Mansu. When I was working with him 20 years ago, we were at Good Morning America, and everybody in the crowd was white. And Diddy knew this was a bad look, and he turned to me and said, where are the people of colour? And there were some people there. They were at the back. They were moved to the front. Diddy knows this. He did his concerts. He makes sure that when the camera shoots people in the audience, it's people of colour, it's young people, it's pretty people. So he knows the image better than anybody else in that courtroom. And I'm shocked that he's allowing this to happen.
Do you miss me, even though you're married?
Subscribe.
Hey, what's up, Rudy? I got some Jersey Mike subs. Danny DeVito.
Subscribe to my channel. I'm Mama C. Subscribe to my channel. I'm doing a live stream on
When,
PTK.
if ever, was the last time you checked your home's title? Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. So stop what you're doing and make sure your title is still in your name immediately. Go to HomeTitleLock.com, use promo code Nancy. You also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. Free. That's 24/7 title monitoring.
Hear all of this happening.
Changes and if fraud should.
Oh, she got back on it.
I want everybody to hear. I got a ton of these. Man on the streets about the outcome of the trial. Listen to this.
From my blogger, or does anyone, content creators that have questions for this man, he will be home soon. You heard it here first on EBTV.
That's from Orizpato on TikTok. Okay, so word on the street is that he's going to walk.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't get it. Tisa tells. What's the word in the courthouse? Because I tell you who knows what's going to happen. The bailiffs. They always know. They know exactly what's going down. So what's the word, Tisa tells?
The word Diddy to walk. They are expecting for the verdict to come in before July 3rd. They think the jury's going to want to take their holiday weekend, but they are not expecting Diddy to walk. And oddly enough, also, a lot of people in the court that work there seem to be
It'd be heavier than you think, though.
kind of thrown off too with the question of Mark Aguilera and what
That's
he
what I
said.
take the kids' medicine,
Where he said he doesn't know what Diddy did. There was
That
something
system
in
is
the middle
very
of
low.
closing arguments when after Mark got admonished by the judge, when he came back, Diddy had a huddle. He was mad. He was upset. He literally stood over them like a general, quietly barking orders at them. And Mark went to the jury and then started saying all these nonsensical things. I actually think that Diddy's the one putting him up to have a man close to 60 screaming, she was straight gangster in the courtroom. I actually think Diddy's the one that had to make the argument of he's a better father to James' child than their own father because he's paying rent. I think Diddy was behind that. For some reason, he wanted to get those looks in, and he thinks that it's going to win with the jury.
Okay, you need to just hold on, backtrack, because I need every single detail, piece of tales. When was Sean Combs standing like the coach of the football team, barking orders? But you can't bark it too loud because everybody in the courtroom will hear it. I gotta hear the whole thing slowly. I want every detail.
So you see Diddy in the courtroom, and when I say barking orders, and this goes to Diddy's mindset, of course he wasn't screaming in the courtroom. He was very quiet. How do we know he was barking? Because of his body language. He sat there like a general, like Napoleon, looking at a map of Europe, with his hands on the defense table, standing up. We were just coming back from a break. Diddy's team had known they had gone too far, and they had accused the government of acting improper. The judge said he was going to issue a curative instruction saying, don't say that anymore, and disregard. When they came back, he made sure, he could have been in the back room, he made sure to stand there like Napoleon. His fingers spread, standing up, leaning over the defense desk, with his band of loyal followers, his defense team, leaned in close. And he made sure by his body movement that we knew, and his body language, that we knew that he was whispering intently, greeting his team a new one. And after that, Mark Aguilera, when he started his closing again after break, he said, before we move on, I want to bring up a few issues that I don't think I touched on before. And I said, there you go. There you go. This is what Diddy wanted us to know. Apparently, Diddy wants us to know that if Cassie is, if we believe that Cassie is, in his words, a loose woman, an unclean woman, if we know that he was a better father to James' child than even James' own baby's father because he was paying rent, then somehow we're going to let it go. He wanted us to know that it was unclear, okay? That it was unclear in the video who the aggressor was.
Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel. Good morning. Good morning.
It was him. Let's take a look at the evidence and see what you find. Again, these were the nonsensical arguments. And again, Mark seemed, after Diddy read him a new one, to lose his steam.
Good morning, baby. Good
And
morning.
it was a weird energy coming off. He kept seeming like he was trying to recover, and he kept going a little bit too far. So I knew Diddy's the one pushing these narratives.
Dr. Bethany Marshall, psychoanalyst joining us out of LA, author of Deal Breaker. You can see her on Peacock and find her online at drbethanymarshall.com. In a nutshell, do people actually still say that? And I can't believe that Ed Niffolo would actually say that to a jury full of women. Loose woman.
They may not say loose woman, Nancy, but the implication that if a woman is sexual, she's dirty or bad or sinful is still pervasive in our society. And this is why women who are sex trafficked do not have the protections that they should have. Men are allowed to be sexual, women are not. It is pervasive in our society, and this is what we see with P. Diddy all throughout this case. And you know this leaning against the defense desk, his fingers spread like Napoleon. He's trying to intimidate his attorneys, and they're full-grown men. Imagine what he did in private with these victims if he's doing this in court in front of everybody, including the jurors.
That's scary. But I want y'all to subscribe to my channel.
To find missing people, especially children, to solve unsolved homicides. If you're on the go, catch us on your favorite podcast app.
I pray for all the missing kids. I pray for all the missing babies.
Our own way.
I pray for all the missing babies.
Justice.
Welcome back, everybody. We are live at the courthouse, standing by Tisa Tells, star of Tisa Tells on YouTube. Tisa, aside from saying, I just had to make a flow chart, that the alleged victim is gangsta, that she could easily take on 2 or 3 men at a time and juggle them. I assume that means pulling a in legal terms, calling her a loose woman, and all of the charges just, quote, homemade porn. I understand that Sean Combs' son had to be taken out, escorted out of the courtroom by bailiffs. What happened?
Well, oddly enough, when he was first escorted out, I assumed that it was something to do with the bathroom break.
See, that's why we can't go to the beach tomorrow. That's what we call.
He was wearing a t-shirt that said Free Diddy. And of course, they have made it illegal in the courtroom to have anything that shows support or not support for Diddy. And it makes me wonder, because I still think Diddy is running the whole show. The fact that you had
a barbecue and with the barbecue
up to that because they knew the rules. And even at this critical point where you need the jury to feel sorry for you, you need the court, the judge, by the way, is going to sentence your father, to think that you guys are all law-abiding with a healthy respect for the law. And the fact that you would take that moment to do a step-clean antic to say Free Diddy, and you have to be escorted out of court, again, it makes you think about their minds. I feel like they're living in delusion land. Them, their followers, and even their son that would even put their dad in the situation. But again, I think this is all flowing from the top. This is Diddy.
They had Sean Combs dressed up like a Harvard freshman again in court today, wearing his usual cream-colored sweater. But I heard that throughout the judge's instructions, very often he had his head down. Why? What was happening?
When he had his head down, for some reason, here's the thing, he had his head down. I get what he was going for. He was trying to look contrite. He wants the jury to feel sorry for him. When he's sitting there trying to look contrite, he looks like somebody's grandfather trying to look like a 3-year-old. Even when you look at his body language, dressed like a Harvard law student, always a fresh haircut, but his hair is graying, which, again, where are you going with the image? I would think that if you are being accused of making these women do freeloads and it's something to do to please your lover, you would want to look as young and handsome as possible to make it seem like these girls could actually be attracted to you without coercion. That is not the case. So again, it's just another misfire and Diddy thinking he knows more than anything. Now that said, like Rob said, he's made a whole career out of reading people. So maybe he sees something on the jury that we don't.
Okay, Rob Shooter joining us, host of Naughty But Nice podcast. Rob Shooter, you know, if he walks, the first place he's going is to the Dwayne Reed or the CVS right around the corner from the courthouse. Actually, he would send a minion to do it. He wouldn't do it himself. And take back up on Just for Men. This whole gray hair act, you know, he's doing that on purpose to make himself look frail and pitiful in front of the jury. Not like a guy that could beat Cassie Ventura's rear end on video, dragging her up and down the hall. And as was pointed out last week, holding on, he didn't mind beating her with one hand. But one thing he did hold on to, he did was hold on to that towel. And many people have suggested it's because at all costs, he doesn't want the cameras to pick up on this. Okay? So, vanity, thy name is Diddy.
And that's a beautiful, very, very smart way of really summarizing who he is, Nancy. He always is thinking about image, he's always thinking about himself, he's always thinking about the way he can sell something. Let's be really clear here. Puffy is not a star because he's a great rapper, a great singer, a great actor, a great dancer. No, he's a great PR guy, he's a great marketing guy, and so I would imagine he was pretty angry with his son for wearing that t-shirt because it's the opposite thing to what Diddy has been projecting, portraying in the court. So I would imagine Puff was... was not that happy about that, but I do think here it would be so easy and a mistake for us all to believe that this is over. The word that I'm hearing, not in the courtroom, but on the street in the music business, is they're all expecting him to be home really, really soon. And so you've got to take that into account too. It's very easy to get into this bubble where the evidence is so strong and what should happen is what we want to happen, but often that isn't the case, particularly when a marketing and manipulative person is involved, and it is that.
Okay, well, let me ask you this, Shooter. The stories, the true stories that you have told about Sean Combs manipulating the press and other people, and you were there to hear every directive, every order he gave, from what seat he wanted in the expensive restaurant to how he wanted to be videoed as he mounted his private plane, you name it. What directives do you believe he has told his team to execute during closing arguments, and how has he orchestrated the courtroom? Everything from where his family sits, and they've been in the courtroom all day long during these charges, and that's not an easy thing to listen to, by the way. During the trial, when they would get up and get down, which, as you know, causes a stir in the courtroom. When a family member leaves or comes back, you know that was all orchestrated. What they were wearing, what he's wearing, what his lawyers are wearing, where they sit, how they look at the jury. Everything is orchestrated down to a T. Explain.
That's what he has done for his life, and that's what's made him a really, really big star. The conflict that he has is that he has been portraying himself as quite a humble, grey-haired, maybe now middle-aged gentleman who couldn't possibly do these awful things, and so I think he's done a somewhat convincing job of that. However, the real Diddy, there he is a fighter, and he loves a fight. And if you come at him, he's going to punch you back. And so these closing arguments are typical Diddy. If you remember, before that tape was released, that horrific tape you just showed us, Nancy, before that tape was released, his instinct was to punch Cassie and to say she's a gold digger, she's after my money. And many people, at least in the rap community, believed that until we saw this tape. So I think once again now he's reverting back to his natural instincts, which is to attack the victim, to make Cassie look like a woman who might have had different types of judgment. I'm not sure it's going to work, Nancy, but I do know there is quite a large population, quite a large demographic who do believe this.
To you, C&ccl is joining us outside Monahan Federal Courthouse as we wait on a verdict. The family there throughout those very long and extensive jury instructions today. Jury instructions are when the judge verbatim reads the law, and there are hundreds of pages of law to read. But the family sat through the whole thing. Describe what was happening in the courtroom.
What was happening in the courtroom was, to Rob's point, Diddy every morning, he does come out the door like a celebrity. He walked in, he paused, almost like he expected everyone to take pictures or whatnot. This was maybe 8 feet he has to walk. He walked to the side, he did his smile, he did the love, he put kisses at his family, told his daughters he loved them, mouthed, I love you, and then said nodding, because you remember he's supposed to be a frail old man, he forgets sometimes, and then he slowly sinks into his chair. The whole time the judge was reading the jury instructions, Diddy was looking down, sometimes he tried to look straight, then he would get bored and he would look down again. But the family, with each jury instruction that was read off, the family kept getting more and more uncomfortable. At one point, when they talked about what it is to move prostitution across state lines, the daughters looked at each other. It's always the twins, and then the one little girl is in between them. They all looked at each other. Again, I get what Rob's saying. A lot of people in Diddy's camp think he's coming home. But these are the same people that thought that he'd never get arrested. These are the same people that thought his house was never going to be raided. Why do I bring that up? Because I feel like the kids are right there in delusional land. But it was so interesting to see that with each jury instruction, the family got more and more uncomfortable and they looked more and more nervous because as much as you try to spin this, the law is the law. And maybe you won't be convicted of everything, but there are certain things that when they read out, everybody knows the prosecution proved that on their second, third, fourth day. Again, some facts are just facts, and I think the kids, they're getting a dose of reality when they're in the
Tisa Tells outside the courthouse has just reported that inside the courthouse the word is that he's going down, but not everybody agrees.
There's no drug possession charges, there's no like assault, there's not really charges that you could say, well, you know, I don't want to send him to prison for 15 years, but I don't like him and he's a bad person, so let's convict him of this and he'll get a couple years, which is very often what juries do.
Airheads have more fun.
At this department, we have over 50 specialized assignments.
We don't have to rely on outside agencies for bomb squad or for K9 or for air support. We have that in-house.
Something that makes us very unique is the rotating assignments, and it makes the whole department stronger.
Our young folks are motivated. They want to progress. They want to gain experience. By us having rotation, people more completely.
One of the greatest things about our department is the ability to focus on what we want to focus on.
True, he may be no legal scholar. That's from Al Prophet on TikTok, but that's the point. This case is not being determined or judged by legal scholars. It's being judged by 12 jurors. Joining me in addition to Tisa Tells outside the courthouse, an all-star panel, let's go straight out to Eric Faddis joining us, veteran trail lawyer and founding partner of Varner Faddis Elite Legal. Eric, while we may think the state has proven its case, it's really up to the jury. And I mean, the Vegas odds are 50-50 right now. And I think that may reflect what's going on.
So just because the climate inside the courthouse is conviction oriented, remember you're surrounded by bailiffs. Everybody in the courthouse, many of them work for the state. That doesn't mean that's the slant the jury's taking, Faddis.
100%. In fact, getting these takes, from the street and from folks on YouTube, that could be a better glimpse into how these lay jurors are actually seeing this case. Look, this is an uphill battle. It's not a slam dunk by any means. We're talking about allegations over the course of decades. There are all these moving parts, 34 different witnesses, conflicting evidence, credibility issues. When you put all of that together, it's difficult to meet that burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, which is the highest burden in the justice system.
Right now, we know Sean Combs has been sweating bullets in the courtroom all day, continuously looking over at the jury, darting his gaze over at them throughout the judge's instructions. And joining me, Danny Pinter, Senior VP and Director of the Law Center at the National Center on Sexual Exploitation. Danny, when you hear phrases like, oh, she was gangsta straight up, she could take on 2-3 men at a time, she was a, quote, loose woman, she got paid, and another moment, Agnifilo said, he only hit her twice, referring